Okay, so welcome to our third session on the angel hierarchy. So today we will be talking about the highest level of angels. So I hope you guys are as excited as I am about this topic. Close your eyes. Connect the tongue to the palate. Inhale slowly, exhale slowly. Let us pray to the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother. We thank you for your priceless blessings, for divine light, divine love, divine guidance, divine love, mercy, inner healing, physical healing. Thank you for the inner strength to practice regularly. Thank you for your divine help and protection, for illumination, for abundance and prosperity. Since we are going to be working with angels today, let us be aware of our guardian angels. The angels of pranic healing and arhatic yoga, we humbly invoke for your divine blessings to help us understand the angelic kingdom, to work with the angelic kingdom, to help them, to help us evolve rapidly and properly, to be aware that we are supported, loved, and taken care of. We thank you. Okay, so the highest order of angels is called the, oh, please open your eyes. Sorry. Please open your eyes, connect the tongue to the palate. So the highest order of angels is called the Seraphim, the Cherubim, and the Thrones. The middle order is called the Dominions, the Virtues, and the Powers. So we discussed this last week. Those of you who missed it, you can go back and check out our YouTube video on this. And the last order of angels, which is the lowest order of angels, is the Principalities, the Archangels, and the other angels. So on the book by Master Choa Kok Sui called The Ancient Science and Art of Pranic Healing, we have a picture of a healing angel. So, and this is something we talked about 2 weeks ago. So again, if you want to see this, you can just go and check out our YouTube channel, which is called Sheetal Jhunjhunwala, which is my name. Okay, so Seraphim is the first order, which means it is the order of angels that are the closest to God. So over here, if you just read what is written, it says that they are the caretakers of God's throne. So, your question may be, why does God's throne need a caretaker? So, I don't have an answer to that, but somebody asked me that, so that's why I thought I'll mention it. So, basically, the idea is that the seraphims have 6 wings. Now, 2 wings cover their faces, and 2 wings cover their feet, and with the last 2, they used to fly. So if you have any background in Arhatic Yoga and you have done Arhatic Dhyan with us at some point, then you will perhaps know the explanation of the 2 angels, the 2 wings that are the ones that they fly with. Now, if you have experienced any knowledge of Greek mythology, then you will also hear that some of the Greek gods had wings on their feet, right? Now, there's one more thing I want to mention here is that sometimes it is believed that the road to spirituality is also through the feet. That is because the feet are the grossest part of the highest being. So if you have a very high being working with us, then their grossest part or their most material part is their feet. So if we are able to touch the feet, then we are basically getting access to the higher soul, or not the higher soul, the higher being. So just in context of this, I would like to say a few things. One is, of course, once upon a time, there was a culture in India that whenever someone came home, or if there was a guru or a great teacher that came visiting, then the feet would be washed. Right. So the reason the feet would be washed is because, of course, there's a physical reason probably of getting rid of the dirt. But I think the other reason also is that when you touch the feet of a highly evolved being, then you kind of open yourself to access, right? So you may be wondering, like, why do we need to access the lowest part? Why can't we access the top part? The reason for this is this, that, let's say you have a small problem. You can't exactly call the prime minister for it. It doesn't make sense. He's not going to take your call. But if you have a problem that's really big and you're trying to solve a problem that involves the entire country, maybe the prime minister will listen to you, right? So similarly, these great beings, they come with functions which are very, very important functions, right? So being able to just touch their feet and to be able to access a little bit of their energy is kind of good enough for us, for the most part, for most of us. Okay. The second thing is that there's a story in the Bible where Jesus apparently tells his disciples that if you don't let me wash your feet, then you can't be my disciple. And you may be thinking like, okay, why would like a great Lord, like, Lord Jesus, want to wash the feet of the disciple? Again, what I understand about that is that the feet is where we collect a lot of stuff, which is not very exactly clean. So when the higher being, or when the guru, for example, washes our feet, what they're basically saying is that the guru is removing some of the contamination from our feet, enabling us to be able to be the disciple, to be able to do and to carry out the functions that the great Lord may want us to carry out. Okay, so again, that was not an explanation of the seraphim. That was the explanation of the purpose of the wings. Now, as it says here, there were two wings that cover their faces. Now, if you want to think, why would there be a wing covering the faces? Now, this is again my interpretation of this, is that it is probably the chakras of the head, which become so big that they look perhaps like wings that are covering the face. Maybe, like if there's like if there's like a lot of light around the head, then maybe it would look like a wing when the person moves. I don't know, this is just my conjecture. Okay, but the one which they fly with, the ones which are over here attached to the arms, that if you do Arat Dhyan with us at some point, you'll get that explanation. I'm not free to share it right now over here. And of course, the last two, which is used on the wings on the feet, like I explained, there is Greek mythology, there is Indian tradition, and there is also, of course, the Jesus Christ. So there are stories about this. So you can just use your discretion and see what works for you. Okay? Okay. So the next one is called the cherubim. So the cherubim is also from the first order, which means the seraphim is right on top. Then you have the cherubim. So the cherubim, they say, has 4 faces. Now, again, for those of us who have been in Master Choa school for a very long time, we know that there is something called the Sphinx, right? There is actually a book by Master Choa Kok Sui called the Sphinx, which talks about exactly this. The man, the ox, the lion, and the eagle combined together. If you look at the statues in Giza in Egypt, they also have a huge statue of the Sphinx. There are many variations of this, and the different variations have different names in different cultures. But what I understand is that essentially the man, the ox, the lion, and the eagle symbolize certain types of nature. So for example, the eagle is to be silent, right? Which means, because, the eagle kind of swoops down silently on the prey, grabs the prey and goes away. Right. So again, I'm not going to get into the explanation right here. You can probably look it up on the net. The man, the ox, the lion, and the eagle represent different qualities and a perfected person. So again, if you notice, this is the cherubim. This is not the seraphim, right? So the cherub. So this is like a very high level of evolution, where we have these 4 qualities of these 4 beings, and the next level of evolution is the seraphim. Okay, so this is one level below the seraphim. So if you look at the 9 orders of angels, this is the 8th, just below the seraphim. Okay, it also says here that the cherubim guards the way to the tree of life in the Garden of Eden and the throne of God. So this is basically, again, a step, like 2 steps before you can reach the throne of God and to access the throne of God. Okay, it says here that the English usage has blurred the distinction between a cherubim and a putti. I don't know how it's pronounced, but the putti are the wingless human baby. So if you go into, if you go to some of the Roman temples, or if you go to certain places, then you will see these very cute looking babies, doing things. And according to this particular information, which I got from Wikipedia, that the cherubim is not exactly a small baby. Okay, so that's just a clarification. Okay, the third one is the throne. So in the highest order, there are 3. So there's the seraphim, the cherubim, and then the third one is the thrones. Anyone here played the Game of Thrones? So I often wonder, when these game makers, when they use names like these, I sometimes wonder whether the power that comes into those games, or the power that people feel when they play these games, perhaps, I don't know, I mean, whether it's true or not, but perhaps it is also because they're using a very powerful word, and the word is thrones. And thrones, as it says here, are the elders. It's the living symbols of God's justice and authority. And one of their symbols is the throne. So, to me, it's like they are the elderly people, the elderly, what should I say, the elderly angels that listen to the will of God, and they present the prayers of men to God. So they tell God that, okay, God, we have got these prayers down from humanity or from humans. So there are supposed to be 24 elders in the book of Revelation, and they are thought to be this part of angels. So again, those of you who have read any of the readings, recommended readings, which is there in your Basic Pranic Healing book, The Ancient Art and Science of Pranic Healing, there's a list of many books that Master has recommended that we read. And some of those books are by a gentleman by the name of Franz Bardon. Franz Bardon was considered a magician. There's a very nice book by him called Frabato the Magician. It's a really nice read. I suggest you read it. So he also talks about the 24 elders, and how the purpose of a certain human being at a certain level of development is discussed by that being with the 24 elders, and actually even more elders. So these beings get together, and when they send a certain being to the planet, or to the cosmos, to the solar system, to the galaxy, to the universe, they all have a different function. So again, if you read the book by Master Choa Kok Sui called The Existence of God is Self-Evident, he talks about how there is a planetary God, a solar God, a galactic God, a universal God, and a multi-universal God. So there are many layers, many levels of gods, if I may say so. So again, the 24 elders in the book is a group of angels which helps highly evolved beings coming to the planet for a particular purpose. The plan is discussed with these 24 elders who guide them and help them understand what they need to do, and how they need to go about doing it. Okay. So that's all that I had to say about the angelic kingdom. Next week, we will be talking about the role of angels in the American Revolution. It is believed that George Washington got messages from angels before the American Revolution happened. So I'll be talking a little bit about that. So the idea basically is to get to know the angels better, to understand how they communicate, how they have communicated with humanity through the course of history. And hopefully that'll help us understand when our angels also reach out to us. Okay, so with that, I'm going to stop here. Let's raise our hands in blessing position. Let's visualize our home. Visualize the Archangel Uriel on the east, Archangel Raphael in the west, Archangel Michael in the south, Archangel Gabriel in the north. Blessing our home, filling our home with divine light, with guidance, with protection. Let's also visualize ourselves surrounded by the 4 archangels. And also, let's invoke to the angels of pranic healing and arhatic yoga for divine healing. Let's invoke to our guardian angels. God sends us down to the earth with angels to protect us, to guide us. Let's bless our targets: financial, health, relationship, and spiritual. Let's also visualize all the people who are affected by the COVID-19 virus. May the soothing, healing presence of the archangels, their guardian angels, angels of good health, surround them and protect them. Let's bless anything else that we would like to. Gently open your eyes. Okay, some of us have been asking for healing for others, but you haven't specified what is the problem that they are having. That's one. The second question that someone has asked is, can non-healers do it? So I'm not sure what the question is, but yes, the non-healers can do the Archangel meditation. The non-healers can also dip their feet in salt water and do the meditation. So if that was the question, then that's the answer. Okay. Before we start the exercise, there is one thing I would like to say today. And that is that, you know, the use of common sense versus the use of rules. So often, you know, people are asking us about rules, you know, should we do this? Should we not do this? I have a request. Why don't you also just think about it from a common sense point of view before you ask us a question? Because we don't know all the answers. Firstly, we will also try to apply our common sense and give you an answer. And this just brings something to mind. Something that came to mind when I was asking for guidance from the archangels as to how I can help people more. And one of the things that came to my mind is this: that according to the Mahabharata, Krishna Bhagavan says to all the people assembled that one of the reasons why the Mahabharata took place is because all the elders were following rules and not using common sense. And all these elders are very highly evolved, wise, smart people. So sometimes when smart people are only following rules and not using common sense, something like the Mahabharata can happen. Okay, so the reason I'm bringing this up, because we get a lot of requests from you on questions, which I feel is like, just think about it. Just think about it for a few seconds and just apply your common sense. Okay, so what Krishna Bhagavan says in the Mahabharata is that if any of those elders in the gambling match had said, this is wrong, you cannot do this, regardless of, you know, the oath I took or the promise I made or the rule that exists or the, you know, what the Vedas have written, etc., etc., just using common sense. What is common sense? Common sense is this topic full of love? Is what is happening right? Right in the sense, is it hurting anybody? Is it the truth? And if it is hurting somebody, believe you me, it is not the right thing to do. Okay, so I just wanted to share this because it's just a very simple thing, and I think we all need it. So please try and exercise common sense. Rules are good. Rules are good guidelines. They're always there. We have lots of rules in pranic healing, arhatic yoga, but you know, very often we've seen Master Choa basically says strongly recommended, or it is suggested, or it is highly recommended. Okay, there are obviously some rules, but those are also rules that are meant to protect us. Okay, so just a request, you know, follow rules. Definitely, let us all follow rules, but let's think of those rules when we follow those rules, right? So suppose there's a police line and there's a fire. What are you going to do? Are you going to go and turn off the fire regardless of whether there's a police line or a barricade? Yes. Doesn't matter if there's a barricade, doesn't matter if there is a police line, you will cross that line and you will help with the fire, right? So that's common sense. Common sense is in helping people. Common sense is in loving people. Common sense is just, you have to use your common sense. Rules are good, but too much rules, not good. Not good for the planet. Okay, so I hope that was helpful, and over to Priya for the exercises. Thank you. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you had a good time with the meditation. We will be doing the meditation again, the Archangel meditation, next week. We will be talking about the American Revolution and George Washington and the angels. Okay, and tomorrow we have another program. So tomorrow's